YouTube. Now today, people, I have for you a very anticipated video. We are going to be talking about the next generation of Pokemon, everybody. Now, if you were like me, and ever since Pokemon Eevee and blah blah been released on the messing up early, been released on the Nintendo Switch, they had a return to the Kanto region, and if you were like me, you didn't know if they were going to just go from generation to generation in the Kanto region and then inadvertently end up in the newest generation after how many releases. I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but ladies and gentlemen, they have released information. They have released the region, the starters of the newest generation, and the most recent release from Game Freak, from the Pokemon Studios. I'm gonna just go ahead and start with the starter Pokemon because that seems to be the most anticipated of the information that we're getting, because it all starts with the starter Pokemon, right? I mean, honestly, I can tolerate a region, I can tolerate geography and geographical locations, but if the starter Pokemon are trash, then it's hard for me to get into a generation of Pokemon. So the starter Pokemon that we have coming to us, they all look respectable. I'm gonna say it like that. They all look respectable. So those Pokemon that we got coming to us, the fire starter is called Scorbunny. That's the best way I can pronounce that name. I don't know what to tell you. The second is the grass starter, and that's Grookey. The third and the water starter is Sobble. I probably butchered all of those names, but they all look respectable in their own, respect. I have to point this out because there's a lot of rumors with a lot of, starter Pokemon and stuff like that. And what I really have to say is, Sobble, the water starter, he follows the trend of water starter Pokemon being not fully aquatic, if you will, for a lack of technical terms. Grookey, I can't really tell you what Grookey is, but if anything, it follows the trend. Scorbunny, I don't know how people can refute the trend for fire starter Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like, there was that whole controversy with Cyndaquil and people really like swearing by the fact that it is not considered a rat, but Cyndaquil is a rat. And with Scorbunny, you have to just buy into the fact that the fire starter Pokemon are based off the Chinese zodiac, with Scorbunny being the representation of the rabbit. It just is what it is. Like, so that is, there's not much else to go on in terms of the starter Pokemon. This is just kind of like an update with everything that we know from Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. I probably should have said that at the beginning of the video, but it's too late now, so let's just keep moving on. Now, the region that it is residing in is a region that is based on the UK, the United Kingdom, okay? And it's called the GALAR region. So if you look at this picture that I just put up, this region is huge, okay? Now, if you know me, which you probably don't, but if you know me, my favorite Pokemon region is the Hoenn region. And the reason the Hoenn region is my favorite is because it is the biggest and most vast region. It has my favorite Pokemon of all time, which is Flygon, and it offers the most post-game material and the best post-game experience of a Pokemon game. It also introduced the division of special attack and physical attacks. It did a lot for the Pokemon meta, and it did a lot for competitive Pokemon, and just how the formula for Pokemon went on and on for the years to come. Now, this place, the GALAR region, looks fucking huge, okay? You see from this picture, you got towns. I'm pretty sure that's the start. That's where you're gonna start. You're gonna start in the town, just like every other Pokemon game. Then you have to go through a mountain range, okay? This mountain range is vast. There's multiple mountain ranges, which off the top of my head, I can't really tell you if there's been multiple mountain ranges for multiple Pokemon games, but this mountain range is huge, okay? You got the lake that's in the middle. I'm sure there's going to be diveable areas there. And then you're greeted by a city. Now, this Pokemon city is very reminiscent of the town that was in the Pokemon Magearna movie. If you've noticed this, then congratulations. But I do think that's going to play a significant role in this series, in this Pokemon, like this newest generation. And there's going to be something that ties into it. After that, you're greeted by like just a sheer cliff, like just a sheer cliffside. And it's speculated that this is going to be the entrance to the Elite Four. But when you look at this, you see an icy region that hasn't been presented in previous Pokemon games, and it just leaves you wondering. You make it through to the Elite Four gate, you have to walk through the Pokemon, like get through the entire cavern, the cave region, to get to the Elite Four, but then you're messed with another ice cliff. I don't know what to tell you. This region is huge. I think with the most recent Pokemon games, you know, with the 6th generation and, you know, the 7th generation, Game Freak and the people at Nintendo and Pokemon, they heard us talk about how fast you could just run through these Pokemon games. And even though this generation is in a very linear map, I see a lot going down in this Pokemon generation. Now, what is that to be said, Nexus? Well, with all of this being said, they have returned to the old formula of Pokemon. They are going back to the traditional roots of gym badges, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that is very important, because if you have played Pokemon on the Switch in like Pokemon Eevee, then you realize that it follows the Pokemon Go formula, where you have to capture all these Pokemon in order to gain experience. Now, I can't say for sure if that is going to be in this newest Pokemon game, but I appreciate the fact that they're going back to battling gyms in order to gain badges. You know what I'm saying? If something's not broke, why try to fix it? You don't need to switch up the mechanics of gym battles. The gym battles is what made Pokemon Pokemon. And so I think they should have just continued this no matter what. And the fact that they're returning to it means that they have heard the fans and they have agreed with the fans that they need to go back to gym battles. If you look at the map, in the background, it is very, very, very reminiscent of Pokemon Emerald's Elite Four. It's just too much going on in the background for there not to be an Elite Four. Now, I don't know if it's going to be called the Elite Four. I assume that what they're doing is kind of like a hybrid crossover between the Alola region and every other Pokemon generation, where you have the gym badges, but you might also have, you know, that extra push at the end of a generation that incorporates, you know, Battle Frontier or, you know, Island Champions or something along that nature, that gives you the best post-game experience that you have coming to any Pokemon generation. The fact that it's on the Nintendo Switch, this might be the best Pokemon generation that we have in terms of graphics and in terms of post-game mechanics, because they are not limited to a handheld device when it comes to space and operation and, you know what I'm saying, you know, whatever else goes into making a handheld game. They have the entire backing of a console game at their disposal when it comes to post-game and, you know what I'm saying, main storyline, gameplay, and mechanics. You can see, if you watch the starter video, they brought back something very, very interesting, which is the underground. You can see them going through the underground. You can see all of these extra features that are going into the game that they previously did not have. And I love them for this, because they're just giving us the best of all the generations. They're giving us the best of Hoenn with, you know, potentially water gameplay and diving mechanics. They're giving us post-game mechanics in Emerald. Hopefully, that's what I'm speculating, because there's a lot going on from this map in terms of Battle Frontier, in terms of, you know what I'm saying, Island Brains and Island Champions. They are giving us the underground from the Sinnoh region. There's just so much going on. There's no way that they could, I'm not going to say it, because there's always a way that somebody could mess something up. But, you know, fingers crossed, knock on wood, pray to your Lord and Savior that they do this absolutely right. Now, when we get into the legendary Pokemon in mythology, you know, I'm not too versed in the UK mythology. I'm not too versed in, like, you know what I'm saying, like British mythology. I don't know what to tell you. I can only go off of Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. And as a Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, what that tells me is probably what everybody has already talked about: Aegislash. A Pokemon that has an attack form and a Pokemon that has a defense form. If you break them apart into two separate Pokemon, what are you left with? Well, you're just left with two separate Pokemon. Could this be reminiscent of two Pokemon? Are we talking about two Pokemon? Or are we talking about something kind of like Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon Sapphire? And I know I bring this up a lot, but you have to remember, they introduced the red orb and the blue orb, which are items that specifically coincide with the legendary Pokemon. Now, could this be a coincidence, or could this just be, you know, strategic planning? I couldn't really tell you. All I know is if it is something along the lines of Aegislash, or it could be along the lines of a legendary sword and a legendary shield, which if you get a hold of those items, then they are able to call upon the legendary Pokemon that, you know, coincide with the item. You know what I mean? Like fossil Pokemon, you have to get the fossil in order to activate the Pokemon. In this case, you have to get the sword to call upon the legendary Pokemon, or you have to get the shield to call upon the legendary shield. It's kind of like fossil Pokemon if you really think about it. But there's really not much else to go on in this update, in this first trailer, and that's, I just wanted to bring this to all of y'all's attention. Now, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Let me know your speculations. What starter Pokemon would you rock with? What do you think about the legendary Pokemon? What do you think about these crop circles that are left in the side of a cliff? How are you going to proceed with this? And if you don't previously own a Switch, is this going to make you buy the Switch? So like, comment, rate, please subscribe, and like always, keep it safe, wrap it tight. I'm out.